Finally, the Denver Broncos are playing Riley Moss on defense. So I was looking at the snap totals from the Denver Broncos game against the Minnesota Vikings, and I was also looking back at some of the film, and something caught my eye. Whenever the Denver Broncos were in dime defense, which is 6 defensive backs, that's usually when the defense is trying to match up against a 4 wide receiver set on offense. Riley Moss was actually in that dime role, in one of the slot roles. Riley Moss is finally seeing those snaps on defense that a lot of people are really pounding the table for him to get. Granted, it was only 3 snaps, but that was because the Denver Broncos didn't really get into dime defense too much in this game because the Vikings weren't really running a whole lot of 4 wide receiver sets. They were running a lot more 11 personnel, which is 1 tight end, 1 running back, and 3 wide receivers. That was mostly the personnel that the Vikings lived in the game against Denver. They also ran some more heavy personnel, which is obviously 2 and 3 tight end sets. So at the end of the day, the Broncos just didn't have to get into dime defense very often. But whenever they did, it was Riley Moss who was predominantly out there and not Damari Mathis. Damari Mathis has now basically been completely benched at this point. The Broncos utilized Damari Mathis in the dime role in the Buffalo game, and the few times that he did see the field, he got exposed. It seems like at this point in time, the Denver Broncos are officially done with the Damari Mathis experience, and I'm honestly of the opinion that they should just cut him at this point, and we can utilize that roster spot on somebody else. We're also about to get another roster spot freed up with Kareem Jackson getting ready to go on the suspended list. So that's potentially 2 roster spots getting freed up there if the Denver Broncos were to make a move. But regardless of that, I know that there are going to be a lot of people out there that are happy that the Denver Broncos are finding at least some role for Riley Moss on defense. I feel like Fabian Moreau is doing a really good job as that second boundary corner, so you weren't going to take snaps away from him to give snaps to Riley Moss, but now I feel like there's a good role for him, and you definitely weren't going to take away snaps from Jaquan McMillan. So Riley Moss seems like he has a chance to solidify himself as the Denver Broncos dime going forward, and that's a role that I thought Kareem Jackson would potentially take, but now he's going to be suspended, and whenever Kareem Jackson gets back from his suspension, I really don't know what role he's going to play because when PJ Locke is healthy, I think that he's proven that he's the starter. I didn't think that Kareem Jackson had a really great game out there, so this is now an opportunity for the Denver Broncos to give guys like Riley Moss more snaps as the dime, and also give guys like JL Skinner more snaps, who was active for the first time this season in the game against the Vikings. So it was really good to see JL Skinner at least be not stuck on the inactive list. And now, with Kareem Jackson being out, I know the Denver Broncos aren't probably going to want to trot Delarian Turner-Yell out there again. So there's a strong chance here for guys like Riley Moss as well as JL Skinner to make a big impact with some of these new moves that have been made on defense.